Thanks for tuning into the Conscious Hour. This is on the media, U.S. media. You know, I've been ragging on them for a long time because we're living in a bubble. But here's a perfect example of one of the major news networks.
The United States clearly were completely unprepared.
You mentioned the Gulf states being, annoyed that they've been put in this position. I'm still sort of unsure about where the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia stand, because the New York Times over the weekend had a report where they suggested that Trump is speaking all the time to Mohammed bin Salman, was it the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who is apparently telling him to keep hitting Iran hard. Obviously it was the Gulf states who, well, Israel principally, but also the Gulf states who lobbied against Obama's nuclear deal. So is there an argument that actually this is, even if it's not good for them, it's what they asked for?
So I would be extremely skeptical of reporting from the New York Times, just given what we know about the makeup of their editorial board. And they're very pro-Israel bent. What I'm hearing from Saudi Arabia is that these are Israeli talking points to try to distribute the blame and to try to drag Saudi Arabia into the war, to get Iran to keep hitting them, such that the Saudis subsequently must respond. Whereas they are really trying to stay out of it, to be, the Saudis, but all the Gulf states trying to make very clear that although they do have these U.S. bases in their territory, that they are not allowing attacks to be launched from those bases, that they themselves are not using any of their own arsenals or weapons to fire at Iran, only trying to intercept incoming missiles and drones. You're certainly right that the Arab Gulf states and in particular the Saudis felt quite betrayed by the way that the Iran nuclear deal was negotiated. They felt excluded. They wanted to have been part of those negotiations, and they wanted it to address Iran's missile program. However, following the Iranian attacks on the Abqaiq oil facilities in 2019, when Trump responded by saying essentially, well, they hit Saudi Arabia, they didn't hit the US, and really had almost no reaction at all, that was a huge shock to the Saudis. And it was not the first time that they felt disappointed by the Americans' apparent unwillingness to live up to what they thought they'd been paying for all these years, hundreds.
So basically, the U.S. used them, the oil companies, going back to when they first started drilling and producing oil a long time ago. The U.S. used them for their strategic partnership, but didn't want them to be involved with anything, with diplomacy. Yeah. Anyways, back to the media. That's why I encourage everybody to tune into the Conscious Hour. Go to the YouTube library and look at all the things I produced. And use YouTube as an information source, because it has an amazing compilation of people broadcasting on that platform that you can get real information, and you can break away from the bubble you're living in by the major news networks in the US. And if you look at who owns them now, basically, just think of it this way: the military-industrial complex owns all basically the major media networks. Corporations who are involved with the investing in the war machine, they now control the media. Now, that's why, please do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, and please donate to the 501c3 of the Conscious Hour and spread the word. I need to grow this thing so I can be part of the broader conversation, start bringing people in on the show. Thank you very much. Have a good night, and keep supporting the Conscious Hour. It's your Conscious Hour.